Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Made in Bartlett, a program dedicated to the primary industries of Bartlett, Tennessee. We want to thank First South Financial for being our sponsor. If it wasn't for them, these programs would not be possible. So thank you, First South. We're joined today by Danny Lyons, CEO of KELE Inc., and Jeff Eason, VP of Sales for KELE Inc. And we're going to delve into what is KELE and who is KELE and where do they come from and all that kind of good stuff. If you live around the Bartlett area, you've probably driven by their corporate headquarters. KELE is not KELLY, it's KELE. And they've been a institution of Bartlett for many, many years. And I'm going to start off with you, Danny, since you're the head guy.
All right.
And ask for you to give the folks out there a description of what is KELE, what y'all do, and then turn it over to Jeff anytime you get tired and bored.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, John, first of all, for having us. It's good to be here. And we love telling the KELE story. So KELE is really a value-added specialty distributor of building automation parts and industrial automation parts. So we serve controls contractors and mechanical contractors, as well as end users on the manufacturing side and across really any industry in the U.S. And we're selling them all the parts they need, but more importantly, we're helping them with the services they need to complete their jobs, whether that's in our 10,000 square foot UL panel shop, whether it's custom calibration. A lot of times it's just general tech support. And we've got a team of very knowledgeable, very experienced techs in-house to really troubleshoot and answer any questions that our customers have.
Well, now, you're being very technical here, because assume that I'm a layman and don't know the first thing about what you just said.
Wonderful.
So, but what I do know is that y'all deal in the HVAC world, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so explain to our folks about HVAC and all that.
I can appreciate that. And when I joined the business 10 years ago as the in-house accountant CPA, I could barely spell HVAC. So I'll rewind, and I've learned a lot in those 10 years. So really what we serve is controls contractors. So controls contractors are typically required and hired by a mechanical contractor or a building owner to really build and automate the controls of a building, a commercial building. So think anything.
Climate control.
Absolutely. So climate control, access control, lighting control, security control. So it really does span across the automation system of a building. And our customers are doing new construction, retrofit, and service work on anything from a 50,000 square foot strip mall up to the Empire State Building and some of the biggest buildings in the world. So we
on the Empire State?
Absolutely. We've got KELE parts in the Empire State Building. We've got KELE parts all throughout Memphis as well as about 400 vendors that we represent.
How about that, folks?
International Space Station to boot.
Oh, that's right. We go beyond just Earth.
We have some temporary.
Well, why can't you bring that couple back down to Earth?
That's a little bit out of our purview.
Okay.
I'm not sure how we can get them here. Hopefully they get back safe.
Hopefully, so, yeah. But anyway, continuing, Danny.
Yeah. So really, helping those customers complete the jobs. A good example would be, the AC's broken in a building like this. And so somebody's calling and saying, it's hot, it's Memphis, it's 105 degrees, we need it cool in here. And they send the service tech out, and he's on the roof looking at the problem. He identifies a bad part, and he's calling his customer service rep at KELE to find a replacement ASAP. So the inventory investment that we have, most of it in Bartlett, is probably the deepest and broadest in the industry. And so we really are that go-to supplier on those urgent needs.
Well, now, Jeff, you're the VP of Sales, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I guess you're the guy who's trying to push your products out the door. Is that right?
That's our aim. We're trying to get our name and a reputation and products out to the customers to make sure they stay on schedule, on time, on budget. And that's what the expectation of our team is. That's how we serve our customers.
So your customers, how many customers would you say you have?
Over 10,000 active customers. How many would you say, Danny?
In any given year, and that's really just the legacy KELE business. We've done quite a bit of M&A over the last 7 years. So across the KELE companies, as we refer to them, we have about 20,000 active customers every year, probably 100,000 that have done business with us in the last 4.
So these companies, these customers of yours would be like HVAC service companies type?
Absolutely. So Johnson Controls. I don't think you can drive more than 10 minutes on the 240 loop without seeing a JCI van. That's one of the bigger players in the industry. Right. All the way down to Sothker and Sons, a local contractor that a lot of folks know. So really, and everything in between. Oh wow! A lot of times it's the end user. So a facilities manager at the University of Memphis is trying to fix a problem, and he'll call us, and we'll help him do it.
Okay, so you said something just a second ago that it seemed like I kind of remember in conversations in the past. KELE is unique in the industry, or is it unique?
We're unique because we're a stock distributor. Also add the value-added services with it. We're a stock distributor, ships it out. If we get an order by 5:30, it ships out the same day. With having FedEx and UPS in our back door, we can get it as late as 5:30, then have it by 8:30 the next morning.
So, and how old is KELE?
KELE was founded in 1983, so we just celebrated our 41st year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you were founded, when the company, and I want to get into the history of KELE, how it came about, because there's some Bartlett guys that really
absolutely
on the ground. But was it a new concept at the time? Was it the founders truly entrepreneurial?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll give you a little bit of the history lesson there. So KELE was founded in 1983 by Roger Johnson, local Bartlett guy, good American capitalist story. He saw the gaps in the industry. He was a controls contractor himself, and what he saw was a very fragmented supply chain with very limited technical data and technical support. This is a very technical product and application. So what he saw was the need to really have a value-added distributor that can really promote 300-plus vendors and really serve the industry with the technical knowledge so that they can pick the right part. We have it on the shelf so we can get it to them fast. And really, that there was no other national player like that. And there were a handful of regional brick-and-mortar type customers in different locations, but nobody that had the reach nationally. And so, in addition to kind of solving that logistic problem, and what better place to do it than Memphis, Tennessee, with FedEx right around the corner? Yeah. He saw that technical gap too. So what we created, or what Roger really created, and is still predominant in the industry today, was the KELE catalog. And what started as maybe 30 spec sheets stapled together turned into a 2,000-page catalog with all the parts and the specifications of those parts. And today, that's, as you might expect, an e-commerce site with 150,000 SKUs and the product data that goes with them.
I mean, back in the day, the KELE catalog was known as the Bible in the industry.
Really? That
was everybody represented. That's if you need product, you look at the KELE catalog. Give me a KELE catalog. I'll call KELE. They'll ship it to us. We'll have it tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember. I think I remember seeing when I first came on board at the Bartlett Chamber, y'all still were printing those catalogs, but you're not anymore. It's all new.
No. Last one went out 2016.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh gee whiz, that opens up a door to a lot of questions here. But the SKU, you mentioned you have how many now?
In the database, probably north of 200,000 across all the companies.
200,000.
Now we don't stock every single one.
Okay. Okay.
No, we have about 10,000 in stock ready to ship same day.
Really? They're in the Bartlett facility?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all the distribution comes out of the Bartlett location. Is that correct, or you got other?
For the most part, we do have about 11 other stocking locations throughout the U.S., but nothing near the footprint of KELE. And in fact, KELE supplies much of the product that those other locations sell.
Okay, so you mentioned M&A. Y'all involved in a lot of acquisitions here lately.
Well, yeah, hateful. So we've probably done 6 in the last 7 years.
Okay.
So we're not buying a company every month or so. We're very selective in companies that are accretive to really our mission and what we're trying to fill the customer's needs with.
So you are acquiring existing companies. So these companies that were doing what y'all were doing in a smaller scale, or what?
A little bit. So I mentioned a little bit of those regional brick and mortars serving local controls contractors. So that's a piece of it. And then in 2020, we expanded into the industrial automation market. So that was done through an acquisition late 2020 in Chicago. And so a lot of the same type of products, but rather than selling to customers that are working in buildings and other commercial spaces, these are selling to customers in factories. So throughout the U.S., all verticals of manufacturing and industry, the factories require a lot of automation too. So similar parts, totally different applications and end customers.
Oh.
Think about pharma and food processing like a Tyson or whatever. We're selling products into those type manufacturing plants.
Now I know that you mentioned Johnson Controls earlier, and Honeywell's another manufacturer of the products that y'all sell.
Right.
Y'all sell their products. Now, I don't know if I'm stepping out of line or not. We might have to cut this section off. But I remember someone within KELE telling me that a lot of Johnson Control people, as others, Honeywell and others, will call y'all for a part instead of their own company because they know they can get it quicker.
That's right. That is very much the case. Our Johnson Controls team that primarily sells to the branches also is selling their products back to them because we have it in stock and we ship it the same day. They don't have to wait on typical lead time they hit their branches. But KELE's not just a domestic customer. We're an international customer as well. We've got an office in Singapore, and we ship all over the world. So we ship to Australia, Latin America, Mexico, Canada. We ship all over the world.
Okay, so y'all got a 1-800 number or whatever. I mean,
That's right.
how does that work outside the United States? It's still not 1-800, is it? What do they? If you're in England, if you need,
You got to dial the country code first.
Okay,
then it'll still work.
Okay,
you still get us, and you're gonna find a live person.
Okay, it's a toll-free call.
Absolutely.
Okay. So walk me through a UK as a country y'all deal. Sure. Okay, well, walk me through a typical order placement.
It could be anything. It could be anything from a current transducer to a gas monitoring product to a leak detection. I mean, we're going to sell the products across the U.S. and internationally the same. The only thing's different is a little bit of paperwork that we got to ship with the material to make sure it clears through customs. But the same type of material is going over there. You may have a little bit difference in voltages, but primarily it's going to be the same voltages we have here. That's going to be predominantly across the U.S.
Okay. Well, I'm dealt the international trade there for a while, and I know about certificates of origins and all that. So y'all have to deal with that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a testament to our stock position. You asked if we're unique. Clearly, when we've got folks all around the world either calling us or more often than not these days, finding us online and then finding the product they need, and the fact that we have it in stock. Even if it has to go across the ocean, they can still typically get it faster than they can anywhere else.
We sell to Canada every day, and we know there's a differential between their currency and ours. They still buy from us because they can get it from us. There's not another company in the international space like KELE. So we serve the domestic and the international markets.
So what's the typical turnaround time for international product? Of course, say Europe, because that's so close.
We ship, so we only do 2 consolidated shipments to Singapore and Australia. The rest of the orders typically going to ship the same day, if not next day. Our cutoff times are earlier for international. You got a lot more paperwork. You got to clear everything. You may have a broker that's involved in that, but typically around 12 o'clock. If the order hits after that, we'll ship the next day. But we're shipping every day across the world.
So how long would it take for somebody in Europe or UK or whatever to receive your product?
Most likely they're gonna select an air freight method. Kind of goes back to that break fix, need it now.
Do they get to claim the shipper, or do y'all? Who chooses the shipper?
Customer choice.
Really?
Yeah. So
would you give them a choice or what?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of how we build the whole business model, and really what Roger built the business model on is serve the customer how they want to be served, and we've really tried to continue to live that out throughout the company's existence.
So, okay, going back to that question, how long does it take to get to Europe?
So, depending on what freight method you select, it could be 2 days, it could be a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you chose FedEx, say, for example, which I guess a lot of it goes out FedEx,
Yes.
International. Now, who does the certificates of origin? For those of y'all don't know, certificates of origin in a lot of countries around the world, most countries around the world, require that if you're shipping to that country that you got to fill out a certificate of origin stating that the product originated in the country of which it was shipped.
That's right.
Okay, so y'all do that?
We do.
Y'all got somebody in the house that does that?
Absolutely. Oh. We have an international shipping department. That's what they do. They're only serving the international. They make sure the paperwork is handled correctly so it clears customs with the right paperwork and it arrives on time.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Good to know. So what percentage of y'all sales would be international? Probably not that much.
No, it's not that. Less than 10%, certainly.
Okay. But you still want to service that market, so
Absolutely.
good. Okay, so you mentioned the fact that you've got other locations. You got 7 other locations, you said, or 8?
We've got 12 other locations, actually.
12 in the United States.
Yes, so it happened through six acquisitions and a joint venture in Singapore. So the 6 acquisitions, some of them had a single location, some of them had multiple.
Huh. And what's the normal size of those locations?
Oh, gosh, anywhere from 2 employees really running a counter where the trucks are coming up, getting product they need for the day, all the way to a 60 employee business with a 15,000 square foot distribution center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they're primarily DCs.
That's right.
Districts. Okay. So, speaking of Singapore, I saw Richard Campbell, your predecessor,
Sure.
give a presentation about KELE a number of years ago. And on that presentation, he talked about the deal y'all did in Singapore. Now, what is some forest in the? Can you explain that? I mean, I've seen it on photos, and if you Google, what do you Google to go see this? But it's the big towers.
So you have the Marina Bay Sands, which is the big hotel casino in downtown Singapore. It's got 3 buildings and a ship that sits on top of the 3. And then beneath it is a tropical garden that's completely enclosed.
Yeah, that's right.
And so our partner in Singapore worked very closely with the controls contractors and team on that to take KELE sensors, so sensors actually made in Bartlett, because we do still have a light assembly manufacturing division.
Yes.
And those humidity sensors went, I think there are 3,000 of them that went to that location because it's so heavily climate controlled. So humidity sensors, oxygen sensors, temperature sensors, all to keep those plants alive and thriving. I've been to it with Richard. It's a really cool place.
I bet it is.
Gardens by the Bay.
Gardens by the Bay. Thank you.
Gardens by the
That's
Bay.
right.
Okay, so, well, what I was going to say is, I forgot, but I will get back to it. I'm sure I'll remember it sometime along the line. But you've got some products here that I want you to explain to our audience, if you can, because most of the people watching this probably have no clue what these things are, and even after you explain it, they probably won't know what it is.
I'll quickly kind of go through some of this, just so you know. So it's current transformer. It's measuring the current in the line going into a control panel. It's just measuring the current side there.
Really, so that the control panel doesn't get fried out, essentially, right? Yeah. So it's making sure that a control panel that can control lights, that can control an air handling unit, that can control access, is getting the right amount of voltage in.
That's the green things.
So that's the one on the far left. You get the one on the next one right to it. That's a leak detection. So if it senses any kind of moisture, it's going to turn something off. It's going to send an alarm back to the control panel and turn it off. Think about it. If you've got a hot water heater in your house and you got a pan and you got something leaking. Well, in my house, I've got leak detection in there, so it's going to alarm and cut the panel off so to make sure that it doesn't overflow and flow down through my.
It's going to automatically cut it off?
Absolutely. It's tied right back into your board so that it turns it off if it senses any kind of moisture in that pan. Same thing happens. Those are going all over to like IT rooms. Can you imagine if you get a leak in an IT room with all the servers and stuff? That's going to, severe damage inside there. Next one is all about life safety. It's carbon monoxide. So you think about the carbon monoxide side. We sell a lot of those. Could be parking garages or any kind of other application that you try to measure that side of it. So it's a pretty important tool for us.
That's the gray box.
That's the gray box right in the middle. And then the next one over to is an actuator. So that's going to control in a commercial building a damper closing and opening a vent. So right now you can manually open and close your vent in an office or in your room. This is actually going to mechanically going to open it up to make sure that is it fully open, fully closed, letting in air or not.
Based on the temperature set for the room or what?
Based on
okay.
Temperature in the room. And the last one is a DPT, differential pressure transmitter, that's going to help monitor the pressure in the room. Think about we were talking about the COVID side of that and making sure that we don't overpressurize a room. Because sometimes you walk into an area, you feel the door opening and closing with nobody even touching it. It's not measured correctly. It has the wrong DPT, or wrong set point in there. So that's what our product does. The reason why we got the KELE brand really is because you think about it, we sell to Trine and Johnson, all the other national accounts, but they also are manufacturers. A KELE brand lets you be brand agnostic. So they don't mind putting a KELE brand on the wall or in their space because we're not competing with them with that. Trey's not going to want to put a Johnson thermostat on there, but they'll put a KELE on there.
Right. But that has your logo on there?
They always have our logo on there. We manufacture a ton of the products that goes out our door.
Y'all don't manufacture any of these, though.
We manufacture. We manufacture some of them, and we outsource it. They manufacture and put our brand on it.
A lot of them will design and then contract manufacture. And then, like I mentioned, we have a small kind of boutique assembly shop.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I've seen. You talking about the circuit boards or the monitors?
Yeah,
circuit boards, monitors, temperature sensors, humidity sensors, etc.
Okay, well, explain that to the audience. What do y'all? Because I've been in that section of your facility where they're doing that.
Jeff, why don't you explain that one?
He delegated.
He delegated down to me. That's fine, which is good.
Well, he led KELE Precision Manufacturing for a number of years. So he's better suited to tell the story than I.
It's kind of split up. So that area that you've been in, John, allows you. So one part of it's manufacturing, light assembly, Danny alludes to. The manufacturing could be temp, sensor, humidity products that we kind of illustrate here. That allows us to kind of sell our product out to the market. The other side of that is the value-added services, which is assembly house. The customer says, hey, I wish I could get a display that's already calibrated for me, versus me having to get a fluke meter, take it to the field and not be able to set it up correctly, or trust my tech's going to set it up correctly. Or it's taking a valve and an actuator, put it on, so when it hits the job site, it's ready to be installed. Everything we do at KELE is a customer saying, I wish I had somebody to build my panels. I wish I had somebody to build my valve. So we turn it into the wish center, we turn it into reality and send it to the job site ready to be installed.
Well, that's a good description, but I still, what do you do? I mean, you're soldering.
We could solder some stuff. We can solder. You could pour for sensors, so you can put a thermistor down there that's going to read the temperature in a room. You can put some pour in there. You can do some soldering there. You can calibrate with power equipment. We can do just about anything inside that shop. Sometimes it's just creating a whip. So a wire whip, they said, hey, instead of you putting a normal 3 inch, I need 12 inches because it's going to be in a different room in my installation.
So each one is custom made?
It's custom. It's called custom services. So we have a custom services shop. So if John asks for something, maybe different than Danny, maybe different than Jeff. Everything you ask is custom. We're going to build it.
So you don't have an assembly line where you're sending out standard stuff all the time. Everyone is specific to its
Absolutely. Need. We may build it and never see it again. We may see it 2 or 3 more times, and most likely we're going to build it one time, and we did it 3,000 Gardens by the Bay. You won't see that sensor again.
So how long does it take to that process of somebody saying, okay, this is what I want until the time is completed?
Depends on how involved it is. If we've got to do the drawing process, if we got to come up with the schematic, the wiring, the specifications, then it's going to take a little bit longer. If they've already got that, then it's probably going to turn around in 24 hours.
Really? Boy, that's impressive. Huh. Well, is there anything else y'all would like to tell me about KELE? Because I want to ask y'all about your community involvement, because I know that KELE has always been very much involved in the Bartlett community and the surrounding community, and they've been very good supporters of the Bartlett Chamber. But so talk a little bit about that. Y'all were just explaining to me about this Halloween deal that y'all do. Now, this is amazing. So tell us the story about this. Well, wait a minute. Before we do that, because the youth villages connection. Yep. Maybe you should tell that story.
Yeah, it's a good spot to start. So the KELE has been a big partner with youth villages dating back decades. Yeah. So Roger Johnson, KELE's founder, when he finally built what he said was going to be the last building so that he could never outgrow on 3300 Brother Boulevard. He took some excess land that he acquired that we didn't need, and he gifted that to the youth villages so that they could build their corporate headquarters. And that was really kind of the capstone of, or the cornerstone rather, of the relationship. And so now every single month, a group of kids from a cottage will come to KELE to do some sort of activity with our associates, and whether that's doing a painting on a given day or something to that effect, where they can at least get out of their everyday lives and have a little bit of an escape is a typical monthly event. Now every October we do a little bit of a different event, in that we each department or function within KELE, and sometimes they team up if they're a little bit of a small headcount department, will take on the task of building a haunted house in their section of the building. So it typically turns into about 5 or 6 different haunted houses. They probably spend a week plus building it out. And we didn't get to talk about the panel shop, but the panel shop has got a lot of handy folks that they're building. They're building framing up mazes and things like that. You've got black lights and strobe lights. The marketing and IT folks always work together, and they've won like the last 3 years because those marketing folks are very creative. But what we do is we have a little internal competition, and then we do well more than a cottage. We typically have about 40, 50 youth village kids, and they come through, and we make sure that they're comfortable with what they're gonna see in advance, and then we put them through a haunted house, and they love it. We give them tons of candy after we scare them. And it's really just a really fun day, and we've been doing it for probably better part of 10 years.
And y'all keep it dark and spooky and all that?
Absolutely.
We do. We turn the switches off in our breaker boxes, make sure you just have the emergency lights on in there. They go through there with sounds and smoke and whatever else inside there.
You got the smoke and all that.
We do. To add to that, so we love that part of it, but one of the ones we enjoy as much as that or more is what we do around the holidays, around Christmas.
Yeah.
And this is money that's donated by the employees. So we actually adopt the same cottage that we have monthly events with, and we buy them Christmas gifts. So we actually, all the employees donate money, and we take that and we buy their Christmas gifts. So they fill out their list of what they'd like, and then various employees go out and shop, and then they wrap them and then deliver them to the kids and watch them. Oftentimes these kids are never getting anything other than more than what we gave them. So it's a bright spot of our year, and we enjoy it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, before we close out, what else would y'all like to tell us about KELE?
We didn't touch on the panel shop as much, but we've got 30 full-time associates in Bartlett that are building controls panels for our customers all day, every day. So this year alone, we'll build about 12,000 panels, and so there's always a steady need for technical savvy folks in the Memphis community that are really willing to come in, learn something that's slightly different than probably what they've done in the past, but it's really a great spot for folks that are starting their career. We've got an advancement program where they start off maybe as a packer, packing these panels, and then they can work all the way up to an inspector. And so there's a very established career path along that line, and we're always looking for good folks to come in and willing to dig in and learn a new process and start a career with KELE.
That's great.
Think about it. We're always looking to hire. We're always looking for talent. So no matter what part of our business, we're looking to add additional resources to our team throughout the year.
And they can go to KELE.com.
There's a careers page there.
Careers page, and check that out.
Yep.
I think we've got it on our website, too. We have a link to y'all's HR department. But, yeah, that's great to know. So how many employees do you currently have?
We have 415 across the business, with about 220 of those in Bartlett.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Jeez. Okay, folks. Well, listen, I really appreciate y'all taking the time to come by here. I know, Jeff, it's like pulling teeth to get the two of y'all together. Our same time because you're on the schedule. So, this is really a big deal for these two guys to show up today. So we really appreciate that.
John, thank you for having us.
KELE is a great asset for Bartlett and the whole Memphis area for that matter, and so we're very pleased to have KELE as a corporate citizen of Bartlett. So let me just say thank you again to First South Financial for sponsoring this program. A shout-out to V2 Media for being the producer. There's Sam back behind the camera back there. You can't see him, and he won't let you see him. But anyway, so folks, until next time, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.